class. Welcome to Unit 6. You've made it to the final unit. Congrats. Most of the unit is review, but we do get to touch on nuclear energy, which is something with being in East Idaho. We have the Idaho National Lab, which I talk about in my video later on, that is something that we really need to look at if we want to kind of be energy independent and be able to have a safe and clean environment and not give up a lot energy wise. And so a lot of the people that work in our area are working on safe nuclear energy. And it's super exciting. So something that I wanted to show, one of our discussion boards this unit is on nuclear energy. And you'll see that it is, besides solar, it is the safest energy available out there. So right now we use coal and oil, and you can see how many deaths that causes. And like the scale, it's not like just, it's a lot. So that's for per electricity used, TWH. So that means it's the average electricity consumption for 4,255 people during their life, assuming that it's every 72.6 years. So if you think about it, there's billions of people. So you multiply that by, let's see, we need like, I don't know, multiply it by 200,000. So this times 200,000, just so that we can, or this times 200,000. So it's definitely something that we really need to look at, not just only using that, but we need a combination of things. Sorry, this was one of the classes that I took in college, and I got really excited about it. And I did a national plan for how can we provide energy for the whole United States using mostly renewable hydro. So I get excited about that kind of thing. But it is really something that we need to change our perspective on, because honestly, it's really safe. And they've made such huge developments. They're even like one of the people in my neighborhood, he's in charge of thousands of people, but he's in charge of the project to make micro nuclear reactors, so really small, like battery type ones. It's crazy, and there you'll see how they've worked to keep them really safe. So it's this little teeny tiny thing in the center, and then they have a capsule, and then another capsule, and then another capsule that's insulated. And so they've been using these things in submarines for decades and decades and decades. Those people are isolated down there, and those are powered by nuclear energy. And so it is safe, even in closed spaces. So we really need to change our perspective on it. Yeah, there's been 3 accidents, but only 3 accidents. There's oil spills and oil explosions every year. I used to have family that worked in, like way back in the day in Pennsylvania, they were coal miners, and people would die all the time in the coal mine, and you're down there in the dark, and it's just awful. The other way to do it is just strip and just tear down a mountain, and that's horrible for the environment. So this is something that can really be used, and especially if we continue to process the nuclear energy, then we won't have the waste, because it's continuing to give off waste. Or energy. It's just in smaller amounts over longer periods of times. But for us, it's not that much. I know it's like a rechargeable battery. How sometimes it goes bad, but for us, it'd be over like hundreds of years. So it's really something that I would like you guys to take another look at, because we really need to start changing our perspective. Just because I have learned so much about it. A lot of people grew up like, oh, 3 Mile Island, or Hiroshima, but there weren't any deaths from those. Like, it just sounds scary, but not very many bad things happened from it. Whereas like these oil rigs and things, I mean, people died, and so much wildlife and animals were destroyed, and like entire communities because their beaches were covered in oil, like like their tourist impact. I mean, it was just eliminated because nobody wants to go to a beach covered in oil. So we really need to not put those on such a high pedestal because there's big bad things happening in those other ones. It's just that those companies put a ton of money into positive PR for them and bribes and stuff to keep those bad stories out of the press so we don't think about them as often. But it's still good to know about the things that happened in the nuclear accidents so that we can fix them or they have been fixed. And upgrading those so that they're safe. So, that said, it would be interesting to see what your thoughts are now on nuclear energy. Would you live near one? Most of you, Idaho was the first to make power from nuclear. And so we do have a whole site that studies nuclear. We don't get a lot of our power from nuclear, um, but and it's just because it has a bad name, really, getting it through the red tape and stuff. But we have nuclear, like the most intense nuclear reactors, actually, at least in the United States, in Idaho, out at Arco, and they do studies on different things and to see how those will interact. So it's really cool and really interesting, and they work really hard to keep those people safe. Sorry, I probably did covered a lot that was in my other video because I just can't help myself. It's one of those topics. So the rest of this unit is just review. The project is just kind of answering questions. It's like review stuff, a little bit on the new nuclear accidents that you just learned about. It's just a little, you're just writing a couple sentences on those to help you review, essentially. And then I do have a bonus discussion board. So if you want extra credit or want me to make more videos on certain things, having that feedback would be great on like what was the hardest thing, what was the easiest thing, what was your favorite thing, so I can add more of that stuff in there or add more support videos for the harder items because I do read those. And then you get bonus points towards your discussions. So thanks for listening. I hope you like learning about this. Another thing that I find really interesting, just because I want a better planet, cleaner air, cleaner water, a place for you guys to grow up that is not filled with tornadoes and earthquakes and no food, or I don't know. I want a better planet for you guys and for my children. So take care. Congrats on finishing up. I'm so proud of you guys, and good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.